How's it going, everyone? This is Anon. None of this is financial advice. This is for entertainment purposes only. Alright. So we obviously had a rough day on the market. Everything's kind of been whipsawing back and forth. You have these extremes on the S&P where, we have days of just bleeding. We have a couple of good days and then bleeding. And then Mr. Rad's first. What's up, man? And then we had this nice stretch here. We're like, okay, maybe we're going to be okay. And then, poof. Yeah. What's up, Raid? How are you? So, yeah, we've been having like a real interesting time on the S&P. Things look great. You go under 390, boom. Pushing 380 in the same day. So, you got to be careful. We'd love to look at Apron today. Sure. We can do that. Let's do this. Let's do over here. Sorry, I've got a slight cough again. Just going to cover these guys because they took a nice beating today. But let's go and check out Blue Apron. They've been having a nice stretch, obviously. All right, so let me go ahead real quick to content. Did it go through? Here we go. All right. Yeah, something's cooking. What's up, Goat? What's up, Carl? Spencer, how are you guys? Sorry for the late start again, but we got lots going on here. All right, so let me just push out this to real quick to Twitter, and then we'll be good to start. Let's get this thing going. Here we go. So, we're going to go ahead and just hit Twitter up real quick and just copy and paste this thing and take a look at Apron for you guys that are interested in it. That's right, I have to add the dollar signs before the ticker for Twitter. What is it? It's IRP. No, What's going on, guys? What's up, Fish? What's up, GW? Spencer? Yeah, Carl. Yeah, the Discord, I mean, obviously, whenever you have really, really rough days, people tend to let their emotions get the best of them, and it's hard not to. I mean, I feel for everyone, including myself. I mean, watching my portfolio just like getting slammed around is not fun. You have to learn how to kind of control the emotions and understand that, you know, this is a temporary thing. Like, over the long run, things do typically bounce back, you know. So as dismal as it looks right now, you know, it will go back up at some point. It may take a while, but it will go back up at some point. And that's one of those things where, like, that's hard to hear and that's hard to deal with, but at the same time, you know, we went through a long period of a bull market where anything you threw money at, it was going to make money. Now we're in a different time, and there are going to be things that you don't think are going to be the ones to run. They will run, and, you know. All right. So for the long run, the line goes up. That's correct. So, you know, unless you're holding a company that's literally getting delisted, you're probably fine. So, or in some cases like Redbox, where unfortunately for them, they're going to go through a merger, and, you know, they basically got screwed when they turned off options on them. So, because it took away the gamma element. Okay, so I put that on Twitter, and I think we're good to go now. So, what are we looking at today? We're looking at Apron, right? So, let's grab Dilution Tracker, our buddy Sean over there. It's nice. Oh, that's right. I'm supposed to get that to dirty. Let me see if he wrote me back. I'm just going to write. So I'm just writing Sean a Dilution Tracker real quick, and I'm just letting him know that the link didn't. I started using. All right. Okay, here we go. So we're typing in Apron. Let's take a look at a quick view. All right, so they do have some warrants, it looks like, and I'll show you guys over here. Okay, so here's Blue Apron Holdings, right? You got a float of about 22 million shares, roughly. Looks like estimated cash accounts, cash burn. All right, so they do need some money, it looks like. About 5 months of cash left based off their burn. Institutions own about 27.4% of the company, and the short interest is about 21%. Their overall risk is high. Their offering ability is medium. Their dilution shelf is medium. And historically, they have diluted in the past. If you look at the dark blue, basically what it's showing you is they added shares there, they added shares here, and then they have about 11 million warrants right there. And they do need cash. So let's take a look what they have. So you've got 6.2 million outstanding warrants right here that are registered for November rights offering warrants at $15. So the stock price right now is only at 3. So that one's not really in play. This one's at 18. That's 3.2 million, and they have one at 20. And that's 1.5. Their dilution shelf right now, they have another 18 million to raise, and they did do a private placement at, it looks like $12 a share. So, what could be going on here, right? So, oftentimes, what you will learn is that your underwriters sometimes have the ability to push the stock up so they can get out of their, they can get their money basically. And they actually have like a weird like clause inside of their that lets them do this. So at times you will see underwriters literally pump a stock to get their money out of, through the warrants. It's a weird thing that the market allows. So Apron passed the screen check last night. Oh, good. Yeah, so, I mean, they do have dilution, but it's much higher up. It's kind of like when, like we were eyeing up like BBIG and some other ones, like it actually went through, and the warrants were kind of dangerous because they were sitting there right above where the stock price was, whereas Aterians were up, much higher. This one's the same sort of case where the warrants are not really an issue at this point. If it starts running higher, then obviously they're going to be up there. But okay. So let's take a look at their longer term history. All right, so this is $6. They go up here at 12. That's 6 again. Let me just zoom out. So their high was what, 20? Is that 29? Was that not a squeeze? It looks like it is. Yeah. I mean, because this was down here at like the 1. So maybe hit a spring and then bounced pretty high and got squozed there. So, yeah. I mean, so it looks like they came out, what year was that? Just zoom out. When did their history start? So it looks like 2020. So about 2 years ago. They had a squeeze event back in 2021. Interesting. Was that actually, tell me that's January 28th. No, it happened in March. So this one was more like, okay, so random, right? It didn't start in January. Did it do, I'm just curious, did it do anything in January? No, it was just getting beaten down, so it's okay. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't like similar to GameStop where it just, randomly took off around like December to January. Okay. So let's take a look at what's going on now. So obviously the market's been going down. It's been beaten down. You had a little pop here. It looks like people got excited. And this has probably been consolidating for a while now. If we zoom out, let's take a look. So, I mean, what you're seeing right now is the MACD is definitely crossed over. It's got momentum right now. Is volume picked up yet? Not that much. It's picked up a little bit. It's not like this day or this day. Yeah, where you're having like a couple million. You are getting about like what, 8, like 5 to 8. Is that right? No, 6. Okay. This is another one though where you're starting to see these indicators starting to get pinned up to the top. So right here, this is when retail looks like came in strong, and it's been holding on since then. Your CCI is strong on this. Your price and volume trend has been like pinned to the top, so that's good. You're crossing over on the awesome oscillator, and it looks like you're starting to go green, or sorry, light blue right now, and get a couple green dots. So this thing probably will be this probably will have some momentum. That's what I would say, and you will see probably a nice continuation if this keeps going. Let's take a look at real quick. I'm not ignoring the chat, but I just want to, like, if you want me to do in-depth stuff, this is what I need to do. So let's take a look at their Ortex. Let me log in real quick. Okay, so Apron has let's take a look at their short interest is about 30% of the free float, which is about 4.59 million. Here, I'll just screenshot this so you guys can see it. With Dilution Tracker, I can easily do this, but with this one, make sure. All right. So let's take a look here. So it says right here the shorts used some more shorting, and it's about 30% of the free float right now, roughly 4.6. Exchange reported data. It looks like they didn't have much change. They just kind of held firm in this one. So they're like literally just holding on to the short position. And your cost to borrow, though, is still pretty low. So that's the only negative I see right now, is it's not costing shorts a ton of money to keep this shorted right now. So if that starts coming up, that's when you'll start seeing more, obviously, you know, shorts getting uncomfortable with what's going on. Now let's take a look. How long has this been at 100% utilization? March 25th. And most of the time, these aren't 100% utilization. Like, it's close, but so it's been on that almost as long as Aterian. Aterian's been on since March 8th, and GameStop and AMC have been up there since February 8th. So high utilization on this. Let's see. Are they on security? Let's see. The reg show. Not on reg show at all, though. They are having some FTDs, though. So they had a spike of FTDs back when they had the run, it looks like, right here. So you had FTDs around this time. And my guess would be this would be brokers probably failing to deliver in this range. So there was, it looks like at its peak, almost 208K failure to delivers on. You don't have a huge free float, so. All right, yeah. So here's what I would say. Right now, the only thing it's lacking is the cost to borrow being high. If you start seeing this cost to borrow going up, that's a good sign. And that means, and if you want to just ride the momentum, that's fine. Like, it clearly is going to be, there. But I'm just looking, yeah. I mean, they still have plenty more shares that they can borrow, it looks like. Let me just check. Yeah, so it looks like cost to borrow is slightly higher than they're reporting. It might be at 50. Let's take a look at FINRA real quick just to make sure, or not FINRA, but a FinTel. So last part of this little mini DD on Apron, Blue Apron. let's take a look at their stuff. All right, so they have them at 14 on the squeeze score and 9 on the gamma. They've borrowed, it looks like, maybe 150K shares, and they're about a 50% cost to borrow. That's what I'm seeing. Averaged out to like 52. They are shorting a good amount, not quite like some of the other stocks I've seen, but like they shorted a good amount today, actually. My guess would be to try to shake people after it kind of ran a little bit. So, yeah, that's what I see on this. So, cost to borrow is at 50. That's not bad. Yeah, I think at this point right now, I'd love to see it go up to like 100% or more, but this looks like it has momentum. And the fact that they're pushing like 62% of the short volume off exchange, that's, a telling sign that they're, All right, let me catch up on this stuff. All right, so there you go. So you got in at 3:31 this at the market open, and what did they do for today? Where they close at? Let me pull up. So they closed at 370. Okay. So you're positive on your trade so far. That's good. All right. Let's see. Is there a real possibility of a buyout for Walmart in the future? What ticker are you talking about, Rad? What are your thoughts on EMBK? It's amazing how all these stocks look very similar, isn't it? Like, every stock that retail's interested all looks like this. Okay, so what is this? Embark Technologies. It's now a penny stock. Let's take a look real quick. So we'll go do our normal thing. We'll go here. I'll just print the whole thing over. We'll do EMBK. So dilution might not matter for this one. Looks like institutions own 54% of it. It's only got about a 1.4% short right now against it. So don't see any huge red flags there besides the fact that it needs to get a little bit higher to be. How is it down there that low? Is it just everybody bailed ship on this thing? Like, this looks like it was a $10 stock, and now, I mean, that's been beat down. All right, so let's take a look at this thing, because obviously these are the types of ones where like they can sometimes get interesting because if you do have any warrant holders, they might want to get their money out. But it looks like an IPO that just went completely wrong. It had a short squeeze signal back in May, it said. And then that completely broke down. There was one in March. All right, so let's see. So it's an IT company, application software. It looks like investigation announced for investor of Embark over wrongful PR. Let's see. So most people have a hold or a buy on it now. Let's take a look at fundamentals real quick. I mean, they're bleeding, but I mean, if they're worth book value like 50 cents, that's exactly where they are right now. So based off their balance sheet, that's kind of where they're at. But it looks like they've just been completely like hammered. Let's see what the quarterly looks like. Yeah, I mean, this is a stock that's pretty beat down. Let's see, is there anything going on here? They lowered their target price down to 6, target price down to 5, target price to 8. This was a couple months ago. Let's see. The Data Collective Sequoia owns a good amount of them. Maven Ventures, Growth Labs. No dividend, obviously. Shorts. Let's take a look. Okay, so what it looks like to me is that so at one point back in April and into May, these guys had a short interest of, so let me go back to April and May. So here's May. So back in this range right here into earnings. Earnings was the 10th. So they were maxed out at like 9 million shares short on the stock. And they were able to essentially like push it all the way down to about $1 and some change. Ran up after that. Probably this is them covering after making a ton of money, because it looks like they started shorting in this range right here. So they were shorting all this time, got the stock all the way down here, covered a little bit here, and then since then they've been bleeding out and they've been covering while retail selling off or institutions are selling off on this stock. Now the question is, so they have a free float though that's like huge. It's like 215 million. So shares outstanding is 450 million, and so you've got a ton of shares. So obviously shares outstanding is not great. There's a reason why right now they're, they've issued out a ton of things. And how are they doing on cash? Does it show cash flow? I'd have to go through and actually probably pull all that stuff manually, because I don't see it on here. Yeah. So it doesn't have high short interest. So that's not but as far as a pure reversal thing goes, if this stock survives, okay, so let me just see real quick. Are they filing for, let's see. No, they're not filing for bankruptcy. Let's see, just making sure. It was grouped with another article that was filing for bankruptcy, but they themselves are not. All right. Yeah, I mean, just as a pure reversal, like, I don't know how much more they can go down at this point. Like, could this have been the spring and then you'll start seeing momentum here? The problem is it's never going to probably, like, squeeze or anything. It's just, like, a pure reversal. Like, the stock's so undervalued or fairly valued that if this company does survive, then you'll probably make some money just on, like, the natural rise of, but okay. So we did that for you. I think the price was because the business model of COVID. I noticed that a lot of healthcare and medical tickers ran up in the last day or two. What's your predictions for Endo? Yeah, they've already kind of ran so far. IronNet, yeah. I've got a friend of mine that's holding on to them. He's been holding since, like, back up here in the 20s, and obviously they're now pretty beat down. They're like Aterian, in my opinion. Like, as far as that, like, they were up here, they had a nice run, and then they came down. They've had a couple spikes, but look, they had a spike to 7. They had it before ours, but yeah, they had another run back in May too, to like 3. All right. So yeah, I mean, let's pull up right now, real quick, the charts on this and just. All right. So does IronNet have any immediate dilution concerns? Yes, it does, because they have a high cash need. Let's see. They only have 2.2 months left of cash burn of 22 million, and they only have 16 million, so they're going to be out of cash soon. They do have warrants at $11 a share and an equity line right there that they can use. But float 65 million, 14 million percent owned by institutions, and the short interest is about 4 on them. So not a ton of SI. Let's see. Oh yeah, I'm not supposed to show that. Sorry. Get myself in trouble. Or take some. I apologize. It was like for 2 seconds. They did this last time. I had to remove the video. They like got upset. All right, what was it? It was IronNet. IronNet. All right. So they've got about 6% of the free float shorted. So it's slightly being shorted again. Cost of borrow is only 22. It's been, let's see, utilization's been high, and it's like on and off on this stock. Gotta wake up. Shouldn't be researching this late at night. It just makes me tired staring at all these numbers. All right, let's take a look. Yeah, so obviously don't see anything that's jumping out at me like, oh my god, this is the play. It just looks like it's stock that's gotten beat down that's probably undervalued now. Let me take a look at fundamentals real quick. Just see what, like, roughly what even book value is. It's not great. It's like negative. I think that on their, let's see what their quarterly looks like. I don't even have it listed. Yeah, so, I mean, I've got a buddy holding this, and it's kind of been a miserable ride for him. So, I hope we get some support, but on paper it doesn't look amazing. Okay. So, what's next? Hunter bought another 1,000 shares. Oh, wait. Can you check out what was it? ENDP. Another one that's had nice moves up and then bled out. Okay, so it got its first day of volume here. So, let's take a look at this one. I do like the volume, though. Is that in millions? Yeah, that's a nice volume candle. All right, so that one's a little bit. Let's see. ENDP, Endo International. Everybody wants you to sell. Okay, I already like this because of this right here. They're going to have to fill this gap at some point. So, to me, this is a no-brainer as far as you go in, if you get a dip tomorrow at some point, you go in and you basically let them fill this gap at some point. It's going to fill this gap at some point. That's my opinion. You could have a market crash and it takes a little bit longer, but like you're going to fill this gap at some point. So, is there any other gaps? Another one up here. No, they filled it. Right? No, they didn't. Yeah, so there's another one up here in the 2s. And 3s. Yeah, so this thing could actually go. I haven't even looked at the short interest yet, but I'm just on the TA. I mean, it looks like there's something here. Short interest is about 15% of the float, which is about 30 million shares. Let's see, what's the overall shares outstanding is 235 million with a free flow of about 200 million. Now, granted, I'm not a huge fan of stocks that have like 200 million, free float, because obviously there's a lot of shares out there to be lent out, and they're harder to actually, get some momentum. But on the other hand, in this case, because this thing already got like a fair amount of volume, there's probably more upside to this, and there's a bunch of gaps that need to be filled up to like, it looks like 3. There's a huge gap up at like 340 something that needs to get filled. So like just on this thing, because of areas of liquidity that need to get filled, this thing will probably move at some point in the future. So this would be one that I'd add probably to my watch list. You're probably not going to get a MOAS out of this thing, but you probably will get some upward movement to the 3s at minimum. Let's just take a look, though, to make sure that there aren't warrants that could get in our way. So, most of the dilutions already happened on this stock. They actually have a fair amount of cash, and the company is technically cash flow positive, which is good. They do have a registered shelf, though, from August, so they can issue out an ATM at any point. But in the meantime, this thing has the ability and the gaps where I would imagine this. Okay, so 15 days ago, Endo executes an agreement with TLC to commercialize phase 3 orthopedic product for the treatment of an osteoarthritic knee pain. Okay. TLC agrees with Endo. Okay. So far, I don't see any huge red flags on this one. So this would be one that I think you would go ahead and probably place on a watch list, because I do think that those gaps will probably fill. And the closest one is pretty immediate, and that's up at like basically from 150 all the way up to 199 or something, like maybe 201. So there's some immediate gaps that will probably, it's going to seek like a heat-seeking missile once it gets down. And it's got volume. So if there's volume tomorrow, this thing will probably run up to at least like 1 something. So that would be my thought right now. Obviously, that's not financial advice. This is just one I think is interesting, so I'm going to take a look at it. All right. So we'll add it to the watch list. All right. And just to make sure I follow up with this, let's do this. Let's add it in the Discord real quick. And it's ENDP. Okay. So Jay, good job. You found something interesting. So if you want, if you're part of the Discord, Jay, if not, you should join it. It's free. But what you could do is you want to post anything you've learned about the company inside of the ENDP, like it's under individual stocks, and there'll be in, I'll put it in alphabetical order, so it'll be right after DTC. I'll put it in there. So we'll take a look at it tomorrow, and I'll post a bunch of like research on it. So. What's up, Jason? What's up, Tom? Why is everyone assuming Anon's gender? You guys are funny. Yeah, I'm not a smoker either, so I did smoke when I was younger, but I quit. I used to chew tobacco also when I was in the Marines, and that was a nasty habit, and I finally quit after my daughter was born, and then I started up again. Somebody got me smoking when I was drinking, and then I went back to chewing tobacco until my son was born, but I haven't had anything since my son was born. So, but I'm glad to not be chewing anymore, because that stuff's not good for you. All right. I don't want him to look. I just want him to look at. Yeah, no. But I looked at it, Jay. I know that I'm catching up on the stuff, but was ATER's run to 726 a squeeze given the lack of volume and momentum? Was it? So I have a thought on this, and maybe I'll just show you guys what I was thinking about. I was thinking about this the other day because there's a lot of stocks that typically will run up to certain points and then they just get hammered down. Like here's Revlon, right? So they ran up and then everyone's like, "Oh, this thing's over," because it took a 17% drop in that today. So when Aterian ran up, right? Aterian had been down and just like doing nothing. It got all the way down to 210, and then out of nowhere it pushed up on this big, massive volume candle, right? So, similar to this, where you have that first day, you got a lot of volume. What this does is this attracts retail. So retail now starts coming in. It won't be as much, but you'll see retail starting to come in. Whenever a stock's running, that's when retail tends to come running in. And during this phase right here, this is when retail's starting to FOMO in, right? They're like, oh, this thing's going to move. Then we get up to this point, and this is where I made a critical mistake, because I thought we were going to hit exactly, I thought we had a little bit more on the Fibonacci, and it went right to that Fibonacci line and then just dropped like a rock, right? So, this was a perfectly, executed, they basically went up to exactly that level, and then since then it's just been kind of, bleeding and consolidating down at these other Fib levels. So, but this run up was basically controlled. And so the question is, they knew, obviously, there were areas of liquidity, and there were a lot of people that were bought in a year before that had been holding. If you got them up to these price levels, how many of them would get out, right? So it's a good question, right? So, how many people are willing to exit that have been holding for a long time if you give them a chance to break even or even possibly make a little bit of money, which is why when we hit 7, everybody was bots were on there saying, get out, all this stuff, right? And they're going to do that again. Aterian at some point is going to run again, and they're going to tell you, oh, at $5 or $4, get out. And, this, because they've already done it once. They've planted that seed that, they told us last time at 7 to get out, and, as soon as that happened, then the stock dropped like a rock. So this is a very manipulated stock. So Aterian, straight up, is one of the most manipulated stocks I've ever seen in my life. It's constantly just getting hammered down by these shorts. And, there are days that was 70-something% shorted. And it's this is not normal. This is a company that they targeted, and they're going to make sure that they try to get this thing as far down as they can to make as much money as they can. Had these guys been able to raise money back in the teens, a good chunk of it, by doing an ATM or something like that, then yeah, this thing would have been fine. But they waited until they basically were absolutely out of money, and they'd pushed them down to this level. So now it takes more shares to actually. So this is what's called death spiral financing. It's when basically a company goes out and needs funding, and so these people go to them and say, well, give us warrants and give us this other stuff, and then, we'll help you guys out. In the meantime, we're just going to take some equity in your company, and then typically they push the company down. That's what death spiral financing is. You think that they're the savior, but really it turns out they're the devil that you didn't know. So what I think what will happen, though, is this. So as the prices stay down here in these levels, whether or not people like it or hate it, but people will probably average down, and you have now a good amount of people that, are basically either stuck or they're buying by choice. And so for the ones that are still averaging down, what ends up happening is all these shares are starting to add up. We've been on, I'll just show you, since this day right here. Sorry, even before that. So since this day right here, let me see if I can draw something. Let's see if I do right here. Add drawing. I want to draw a line. Just want to draw a line straight down. I'm going to change the color of it real quick so we just have an idea. Can we edit it? Edit properties. Let's just change it to blue. All right, so since this day right here, I'll zoom out so you can see that. So since that blue line right here until today, right here, that's how long we've been at 100% utilization on Aterian. Give or take a couple of percentage points, but literally that's how long it's been. that we've been at 100% utilization. And I started like tracking out like how much short volume there is and all this stuff. And like it's insane how much this stock is traded just in this right here. Like this volume in here was insane for a stock that had very little shares probably available. So there's always something going on with this stock. I've been watching it now for like a year and some change, and it's one of the most manipulated stocks I've ever seen in my life. So, yeah, I expect it to run up again at some point. You know, it may take a couple more weeks, it may take a couple more months, but you know, we've been here before. For those of us who were bought back here, you know, you have an earnings beat, boom, it gets pushed down. You know, you had an earnings beat back here. This was an earnings beat right here, pushed down. Then it had a run up after that. You know, earnings beat, pushed down, just bled till you hit basically 210, and then you had the run up. You know, it's a very manipulated stock. All right, what's up, Hustle? What's up, Good? What's up, Z? What's up, J Beats? Yeah, so I was going to say at this point right now, what I'm expecting is because it's been at 100% utilization. Look at GameStop. So let's take a look at GameStop in comparison, right? Because GameStop's been on 100% utilization since right here. So if I drew a line here, that's January. Hold on, I need February 8th. Right here. Add drawing, add line. So right there. So since there to here, we'll zoom in a little bit on. GameStop's been 100% utilization. We'll change that to blue again. All right. So here's ours, here's theirs, and you know they went down to like 78 at one point right here. So like Aterian's been like beat down, and we're getting pushed down into our like low twos now. We had 210 was the 52-week low for Aterian, so like you know you see like both of these had run ups and them getting pushed down, run up, push down, run up, push down. And, you know, for them, they're consolidating now in a higher range than we are. But they're also a bigger name, and there's a lot going on with that behind the scenes. So, all right, let's see. BTCYH. All right, we'll have to look at those when I'm not. Yeah. All right, let me see. Okay, so Batesy had asked me real quick to take a look at Ortex for him in Indo. So I will do that because I feel you. I feel I ordered Ortex just because you guys you seem to like it, and honestly, I don't have enough money for Bloomberg, so if this is the closest thing I can get for you guys, at least right now, with I have access to Fintel. I have access to Unusual Whales now, and I'm looking at a couple other like tools to help out with some of this research stuff. So basically what I've done is I took all the money that you guys have donated, and I'm just putting it into more resources so I can help quickly like look up things for you guys. So that's kind of the idea, and hopefully, So let's see. Indonesian energy. We'll go to short interest. So the short interest right now is saying it's 27.59% of the free float. And previously it was 30 as of the last exchange reported data. And I think it's came down from there. And the free float on these guys, though, was pretty small, if I remember correctly. Shares outstanding was about 7 point something million, and the free float was like 2 million shares. So I don't, like, if retail actually, if retail actually, was interested in this, they should be able to kind of like 2 million shares for a free float's very small. What's the FTDs on this thing look like? That's something I'm curious about. Let's take a look at FTDs, because I would imagine you have to have a lot of FTDs. So it was on the threshold list, and I'll screenshot this for you, Batesy, and so you can see it. I just want to see the favorite. What is going on here? They don't have any failure to delivers? There's no way. There's no way possible that they have no failure to delivers with. I don't believe that. Yeah, something's weird here. At one point, they did have it reported at 97% of the free float. You got to make me research, aren't you? Now I've got to go to dilution tracker and see if they somehow diluted or what. How did they drop that? I like HUSA better, but okay. So they had some warrants and some convertible notes at 6. Did they run to 6? All right, let's take a look. No, they haven't been 6 in a while. No, they're above 6. Oh, you know what's happening? They've been issuing out convertible notes to raise cash. Is my guess. So they're diluting right now, which is why the stock's coming down. And it's also going to increase the free float. Not like hugely, but like a decent amount. So I can show you this, Batesy. So they do have some dilution, not a ton. Like we're talking about like maybe another 2 million shares total. So that would bring your shares outstanding to 9, and your free float would probably go up another like 2 million shares. So it'd be like 4 million roughly would be your like free float. But they need the money because the cash burn's rough. So, okay. Okay. So, first quarter 22 actual GDP growth was negative 1.5. Oof. Is that legit? Can we back up on this? So it was forecast to be 1.1, and it actually was negative 1.5. Boy. Gap down on the SPY tomorrow. You guys think pain was today? Let's see what it looks like tomorrow. The Plan B stocks. Right. And you mentioned the SPY has gaps to fill at like 330. Are there any other gaps? Yeah, there's more gaps on the SPY. I mean, we can probably create a list of all the different ones, but 340s is where the SPY's gaps mainly are. So that's where I bought 350 puts to be on the safe side. But yeah, there aren't really any good squeezes right now. Reddit has too many stocks being talked about. Yeah, ENDP looks like it's interesting. I think actually something that is being overlooked is WEBR. I think those guys. So everyone's like, "Oh, this was a squeeze." I'm like, based off what I saw on these guys, they actually have a lot more room to go up if people are, interested in it. It's a interesting play because they're Weber. They're not like a small, tiny, like they're actually a pretty big name. The float's pretty small. It's like 27 million is the float, and it's 37 or 38% short sold right now. And they actually do have some cash on hand. So, yeah, it could be interesting because they have, and they're also eligible for Wall Street bets. So, but Wall Street bets has seen them and tried to squeeze it before, which actually I think was what caused this. But Wall Street bets has been in on Weber, and they could be again if the right circumstances are there. So, okay. So I guess Jay was getting impatient with the ENDP. Yeah, I did look at it for you though. Okay, you sent Fish sent over estimates for GDP. You should be aware of it's releasing tomorrow. Yeah, good thing I bought more SPXU. Yep, yeah, I've been talking about that. Fish and chips, fishy. Any thoughts on BBIG? Yeah, I mean, I think honestly, you might get a big nothing burger out of them. I do think they are definitely shorted down, and so like immediately this gap is going to be where I would be looking at. So if I was playing with BBIG, I would be looking at entering somewhere around here, and then riding it to the gap for short term at least. I know everyone's looking for a squeeze, but it does look like you guys are coming up on the TTM. I do have like a small like position with these guys at like I think like 215, so I'm like still red, but like I don't have a large position in them just because I don't like the management. But in the meantime, this is where I'd be looking at playing it from down here to up here. There's a gap there. It probably will fill. And, BBIG is one of those that has like a very large float as well. So like, and they do have a decent amount of dilution still, which I take that back. They changed that, didn't they? They changed it over to the Tide rollout. And I think they've wrapped up some of the dilution there. So let me check and see what's going on there. Yeah, so most of their dilution is pretty much done. Now they only have about 6 million left in the warrants, but the warrants are sitting there at $2.65, $4, $9, and they do have notes convertible at $4. So that would bring the total float up to, because I remember like talking to people about this, and I said, listen, like your shares outstanding are going to go up to like 2.5 or like like 250 million, something like that, and people are like, no, and I'm like, yeah, so The company agreed to cashless warrants exchange agreement where the September warrants are exchanged for 50% of their share, November warrants are exchanged for 77%, and December warrants are exchanged for 81%. Roughly 113 million shares will be issued for such warrants and must be held until June 17th or shareholder approval issuance above the exchange cap. So, but I do think if I was playing this short term, I'd be looking at this area right here in the immediate future and then seeing if there's any other. No, filled. All right. We'll see. I don't think that everyone thinks Tide's going to cause MOAS, and I don't think that for that stock. Okay, so I think I did bring it over that guy for the thing. So let's see. Fear, greed. All right, let's see. Thank you, Mr. Red. Appreciate it. PEI will be fun to look at. No, it's fine. I'll do this as my last one. Overtime stipend. Thank you, Jason. Appreciate it. All right. Let's look at one more because, who knows? Maybe one of these is going to be a good one, like the one that Jay had showed us. We can take a look at a couple others tomorrow, but I think for tonight I'm getting tired. It's been a long day, so I'll go ahead and do this. We're going to put in PEI. Is this it? Pennsylvania real estate? Okay, so it was once high flying and then came crashing down to 15. And since then, it's been driven down to about 388 today. You had a random spike here with a good amount of volume, and then it got crushed. So, let's take a look. All right, let's see. Oh yeah, are the dudes from Optionality still on tomorrow? Yeah, so I meant to address that. I'll probably push out at everyone tomorrow and just kind of explain what we're gonna do. Yeah, so if you guys remember, I talked about the guys from Optionality, and we're gonna give you a chance to talk to actually some people from Smart Money. Mainly Alec, who had worked for, I think, Susquehanna. And I know somebody wrote, well, why are you bringing guys from hedge funds on here? Weren't they the bad guys? And I'm like, well, all right, so here's the thing. So he's no longer working for Susquehanna. So we're not bringing on an active trader from Susquehanna. So just to get that out of the way, he now runs his own brokerage that he, worked his tail off and, started a brokerage. And these guys are younger than me. So I'm pretty impressed by what they've been able to accomplish in a short amount of time. So, yeah, we're planning on having these guys, on there. And I think we opened it up and we talked briefly about it, those guys and I. And let me see. What we're going to do is this. We're going to let them talk mainly about just whatever you guys want to ask them. Like if you want to ask, somebody from that used to work in smart money how all this stuff works, you get a chance to. So our potential topics that we're looking at, and maybe you guys can come up with your own questions. But they want to. We were looking at talking about current market conditions and retail trading sentiment. We want to talk about what is payment for order flow and how does it actually work. From guys who run a brokerage. How do brokers make money? There's the zero commission model versus user-facing commissions. Are there any good actors in, the brokerage space? So, and you guys tell me what you guys want to hear also from them. We can obviously talk about individual stocks, I guess, and if Alec has time to kind of, analyze stuff and look at it as well. But you might want to give them a heads up if there was something that you really wanted to, because these are guys that literally, well, I was going to say Adam came from a marketing background, but Alec himself came from a trading background where he worked for a hedge fund. So what I would say is probably Alec would be the one that would answer most of the kind of more technical questions about the brokerage and stuff like that. But in general, I think it'd be interesting just to have someone that's in that was in smart money on and talk to them and ask them questions. Like, how often do you get to talk to, someone that works for a hedge fund and actually now is, trying to do right by retail once again, these guys are doing this mainly just I asked them to come on. So, because I as soon as I saw Adam say that, he was, co-founder of a brokerage, I was like, wait, what? I've known the guy. And so I wrote him and I said, listen, I've got all these ideas about, and he was like, well, that's not exactly what we're looking to do, because what you're basically asking us to do would cost a lot of money, just for them to get basically, the ability to become a full service brokerage. They would need to raise, I think it's something like, I don't know, $1 million or something like that, just to have as collateral on hand. So, they're not there yet. They're obviously going to start with their idea, which was basically more casual, options trading. But they said if they get big enough, they would like to do all these things that we've talked about, which is routing stuff directly through the IEX. And they actually looked up stuff for me and came up and said, listen, these guys are interested also, and we'd like to offer that service down the line, and if we can raise this money, then we can start. But they need to get their user base up. So I was like, it's a good fit. Let's just have you guys come on here. We can talk about it. I don't actually have any shares or stake in their company. I'm mainly just doing this because I'm interested in what they're doing and what they could do in the future if they actually kind of get their, if they get their feet off the ground and they start kind of running with this thing. They have the ability to actually go against the grain and actually, do the right thing, which is I want my shares to hit the lit exchange, and I'm fine paying a small commission for that. To me, that would be awesome if retail could actually, every single time they push the buy button, it actually hits the lit exchange. So, yeah, we'll do that tomorrow, and we'll see, what questions you guys come up with. But, yeah, I think it's interesting. I think it's going to be a good time. Okay. Highly recommend Trey's video on the GameStop. Yeah, I'll take a look. The problem is whenever I'm doing this stuff, I never have time to actually watch other YouTubers. So maybe I'll try to find some time tomorrow at lunch or something, and I'll just put in ear pods and just sit there and listen while I eat. All right, so let's finish up with PEI. Where is my... Okay. PEI, Pennsylvania Real Estate Investment Trust. Okay. So these guys have a small float, 5.22 million. Short interest is about 20% on them. Are they a REIT? So they're a REIT, just a small one. They're cash flow positive. They do have the ability to raise because they do have a shelf they've never touched. They're beat down, like, pretty badly. But, you know, let's see. Is there any... Let me look at their filings now. You guys keep coming to me with, like, interesting things, and now I've got to, like, look into them and find out why things are the way they are. Okay, so total assets, $2 million. Total liabilities is... $2 million. Okay, so they're basically like washed out. Their total assets are equal to their total liabilities, roughly, give or take like a couple thousand here or there. So let's see. They have a Series B preferred shares, 25,000 authorized. They've only issued 3,400 of them. They've got C's and D's in there. This is going to be a fun float to figure out. Okay. So, lease revenue, total expenses. Their net loss is getting better, so that's good. Cash flows slightly gotten better. Let's see how much is fluff. So they do have more cash now than they did before. I can probably bring this over for you guys. You can see what I'm looking at. PREIT, Pennsylvania Real Estate, PEI. Or EI, right? Let me just check something. Warrants. Warrant. So warranties. Okay. So no warrants. I've got some covenants, though, with lenders. They need to maintain a minimum senior note yield. So that's probably why the shorts are attacking them, is because if they can get them to violate their debt covenant, they will actually then have to dilute. And so that will obviously lower the stock price. So that could be a reason why these shorts are attacking it so aggressively. Now, it's a small float. Cash flow hedges inflation risk. Here, leases. I just see something. Okay, so they've not mentioned squeeze anywhere. Okay. Because sometimes they have to add that in as like a, our company could be volatile and blah, 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 blah. I mean, it's pretty beat down. You did have a run up here, right? So you were sitting there with some buying pressure in the 20s, and then it went all the way up to like basically double top here at 50, and then since then it's came back down. Kind of reminds me of ATER with that run up earlier, but it had nothing really to do with retail. Just, I mean, this thing was high flying and then moved down. But it does look like it's starting to get some attention again. So this could be interesting. I mean, what was that, 100? No, that wasn't even. What's 1.7 million in volume? But 1.7 is like a fifth of the float. So, you know, let me just see, short interest now. God. I was supposed to leave. You dragged me back in. All right. So Ortex issued out today a 5% return short squeeze signal, type 3. We're near the lows, right? But because this thing's got a pretty small float of like 4 million shares, yeah, I mean, it could move. So I'd add this also to the like watch list. All right. So PEI. All right. Short interest. So whoa. Live short interest is 381% of the free float. They said they are right now short 15 million. Wait, what? What the? That can't be right. Hey, Fish, are you still on here? Let me know if you're on here. Fish, yeah, let me write him real quick. I want to confirm something with him. Yes, that. Will you do me a favor if you're able? Do you have access to Bloomberg still right now? I want to see what they have for institutional ownership. Yeah, no, yeah. If you can look up institutional ownership on PEI and see also what they're reporting on short interest on. Do you still have S3 or? Yeah, something's weird here, and this also happened on DTC, but something's weird here. So whenever we find weird things, we like to find out what's going on, even if it's, something that can be explained later on. I still think DTC's got a negative float, or at least really, really, really high institutional ownership that probably exceeds the float, wherever you want to call that. Oh my goodness, what's going on here? They've got it too. IQ Capital is reporting 375% of. I'll screenshot this for you guys. You had to go and spark my interest right before I was going to leave. All right, take a look at this. 375% short interest, according to this. Off exchange shares was about 51, but here, let's figure this out. The short interest they're reporting right now is 15 million. The insiders own 11% of the company. Shares outstanding, though, is only 5.3 million, which means that insiders own about like 640,000 shares. Okay, so if you only, but they have to have increased their, right? They have to have increased their size of their float. Like, they have to, right? I don't see it. Where's their Class A's? Class A. Shares beneficial interest. Then they have Class B's. Where are their Class A's? I'm sure this can be explained, but let's see. How about S3? The free float's technically 1.4 million. So how are there 15 million shares short on this stock? Because both Fintel and I showed you guys that right. Fintel's reporting short interest at 15 million. That must be a mistake. Use your free trial for S3. I'm not gonna sign for it right now. I'll do it tomorrow. Oh, that's right. Your S3's gone now. Memba. Wait, doesn't someone else... Wait, what do I have? What tools do I have? Let's see. No, how is this possible? Their exchange reported data for the last 3 dates was 14 million, 14.61 million, and 15 million on a stock that has 2 million, like 1. It can't be right. Short interest on unusual whales. Yeah, can you look up that? Are we able to see it? Like this has to be a mistake. If this isn't a mistake, then there's something going on here. This is like SEC should be looking at this kind of stuff. Let's see. ATER's Any Hope? Yeah, I mean, ATER's always... It was 210 down here, and then it ran to 7. Like, and that was after being up here at 16. So it free fell all the way down to 210. Nobody had any hope, and then it randomly ran up to 7 on no news, no catalyst, nothing. And it's been at 100% utilization since this mark. Like, it will probably just scream up out of nowhere one day for fun. Reverse stock split. Did you guys find short interest on PEI? The sky is falling. 10 Maxine's on the case. That doesn't give me any hope. God, those people are idiots. All of them. Like, both sides. They're all just corrupt and... What is going on? Are you able to... I don't know unusual wheels that well, but are we able to see what's going on here? How is it that PEI has that much short interest? Like, let me go to FINRA. Okay. PEI. All right, so Toots and Insiders own about... Okay, so that's short volume. That doesn't... There's no way that adds up to 15 million fish, right? But, right, that can't add up to 15 million, will it? You got fish all wet. All right. What's going on with this ticker? There's something going on here. Sexy videos here. Yeah, we haven't had the bot people in a while. I'm not big enough anymore to warrant bots anymore. Okay. You guys knock it off and help me figure out why this stock's doing this. How is it have... I mean, is everyone just reporting the wrong information? Because they are legitimately reporting 15 million shares on a stock that doesn't have that many in. You know, right now it's number 6 on the short squeeze list. Does it not have options? That's my guess. Mr. Rad, yeah. I mean, yeah, you guys brought me something that's interesting. I mean, this one and the other one. Okay. There's no way, right? There has to be. Where's exchange reported? What is going on here? Okay, so something's weird here. Okay. Let me show you this. Something is strange, and maybe this will explain what's going on. Let's not freak out before this is, you know. All right. There's probably some sort of rational explanation to this. All right. So let's check this out, right? So they were reporting 14 million shares here, 14 million, up to 15 million, 15 million, right? They've got the days to cover at 56, which means stock's getting like no volume. The float though, right? Look, they had the float back here though at 53 before they moved it to 4. So there's some sort of disconnect. Like this is probably the actual like float. Right? It's got to be. So it's more like 25%. I mean, so guess who's shorting it? Give you a couple guesses. Guess who's shorting the stock? Citadel, Susquehanna, the HAP Trading Group, Group 1 Trading, Simplex Trading, SpeedX. Wait, what are you saying there, Fish? A Del Q? What? Oh, yeah. Citadel. I'm not going to say the bad word because then I can't claim that my content is clean and it should be for everyone. So I have to watch what I say as best as I can. Okay, so we need to figure out, is the float actually 59.93 million or is it actually 4 million? Right? Because like they're saying shares outstanding is only 5.4, which means that the actual float's 4 point something. But back here on the 16th, back here on the 16th of June, they said shares outstanding, or the float was 59 million. Like something's going on. So that's going to be something to watch. I'm adding it to the things to PI. Oh, I already added it. Never mind. So, to the moon. Mr. Midway's already in there. All right. This is one thing we need to figure out is this 16th right here. Why does it say 59 million when everything else is saying 4 million for the float? So that's going to be yeah, I mean the stock's getting no volume either. So okay. So Toe Lovers wants a screenshot from Dilution Tracker for, what was it, ENDP. All right. And this is how it kind of works, ladies and gentlemen. You've got a bunch of retail traders all kind of hustling around and trying to figure out some stuff, and hopefully we'll make sense of all this. There we go. Scotch time. Nah, I think I'm just gonna turn in for the night. I'm now pushing midnight and I need to go to bed. So we'll start talking about some of these other stocks in here. Yeah, something's off here. Something's Sounds super weird on this stock. Market beat says previous SI was 14 million. Yeah, now it's 15 million, but the problem is shares outstanding should be, or it said it was 59 million and then it dropped to 4 million out of nowhere. And I don't understand how that happened. Float size 4.3, that's about what I got with after my calculation. So how is it that these guys have 15 million shares short against that? It just, oh God. Check the Discord. Yeah, I see your shareholders, institutions, others. Institutions. These are going to be interesting. All right. We're going to get to this tomorrow. Whoever wants to join in on those channels, this will be fun to dig into. But for now, it looks like we found something. There's some interesting things. We'll break it down in the Discord tomorrow morning and then kind of go from there. I'm still working on that last bit of the project, trying to get my employers all that information together, but I'll be in and out of there. So thank you for your time tonight. Have a great evening. Thanks, AKJ. You guys have a great evening too. Oh yeah, and if you can like and subscribe the video, that'd be great if you're still around or if you listen through. And if you want to join our Discord and have fun researching and doing all this kind of stuff, it is free, and I will link the description right there. Oh, I already made the channels dirty. It's in individual stocks. What time tomorrow? We will probably be on at 8:30 tomorrow. It'll be earlier, so 8:30, so it'll be like 5:30 West Coast time. Okay, so there's the link to the Discord. If you're not in it, come join us, hang out, research. So, all right, you guys have a great evening.